I was shitting bricks. I was literally shitting bricks. I was wondering how the hell I was going to sell this. I didn't say the best coffee. I would say the most interesting coffee. That smell was intoxicating. Strawberries, blueberries, whatever type of fruit that you can think of. It talked to me. It challenged me to really push myself as a roaster. You think it's about the coffee, but it's more than that. It's a place or ability to where we can actually express ourselves in our daily life. We live. We live. We live right now. All is well with me. I hope all is well with you. What are we going to be talking about today? I know you're wondering what this crazy guy wants to talk about today. Today, what we're going to be talking about is so far the most interesting coffee I've ever had. Excuse me. I didn't say the best coffee. I would say the most interesting coffee. So let's go back in the past. It's 2018. I was injured. I messed up my knee because I was trying to move my roaster. So I was in crutches and everything. And I get a call from my exporter, coffee exporter, right? And the thing about it was that I guess I bought a decent amount at that time. And the coffee was the reason why they invited me really was because they were doing some type of cupping event, and this particular cupping event involves so many different African coffees. Since you are hopefully enjoying the video, if you like, subscribe. So I went there, a friend went there too, and there's, coffee people in Houston. And it was interesting because I haven't never really been invited to something like that. I felt really honored. I don't know why they don't invite me anymore. Probably because I don't buy that much. Whatever. It is what it is. Or I turned them down so many times too. So whatever. The point is that I was going to this event. I went with a friend and everything, and I wasn't looking to buy. And of course, when they do these type of events, they hope that you are looking to buy coffee. So it was African coffees, and I was like, okay, let me see what this is all about. This whole thing about, what's the best way to say this? This whole cupping event. And as you know me, if you know me already, I don't really care or do cuppings or whatnot. But that's just the industry standards. That's just the way of really tasting coffee quickly and effectively to an extent. I go through my own rant, which I will bring that up later on in another video that I've already done. I need to edit. That's besides the point. But one of the first things that they do with this whole cupping thing is that you can smell the coffee. So I think the ground coffee, the whole bean coffee, you can smell it, and then they grind it up, and then you can also smell it. That's part of the scoring. So this particular coffee, there's all of them, they're Kenyan. Most of them were Kenyan coffees, I believe. But there's just one. This one really threw me off. It was extremely intense. And I'm telling you, it was extremely, extremely intense. And the peculiar thing about this particular coffee was that it was a natural process coffee. It was clean as hell. Clean as hell. And if you know coffees, at times for natural coffees, they're a little bit more less curated than a wet process because of the way that processing happens. It's a lot easier for them to actually pick out the defects, pick out the floaters and all that stuff. But this coffee was extremely clean, and this was a natural. So it threw me off that way. But that smell was intoxicating. Strawberries, blueberries, whatever type of fruit that you can think of. It was highly complex. It was very hard to understand what I was actually tasting or smelling. And I was like, okay, maybe I am going to buy a bag of coffee. I don't know. So I went around tasting and cupping and all that crap. I think I have a picture of me cupping for the last time in public. And none of the coffees really wowed me as much as this one did. It was so intense, and I wondered what I can do with it. And then, of course, you know how you go to the store, and after you go to the store, you're like, you see something that you want, and then after you look at it, you're like, let me see how much the price tag is. How much is this coffee really? So that's what I did. I went ahead and I I asked him how much the coffee was. And I was after the fact, right? Because I had a friend there. He was enjoying the coffee. And he was like, man, this is weird, interesting, different coffee. So they tell me the price, $4.04. I remember it to this day. And especially at the time, I was not paying $4 a pound for coffee. That was expensive as hell. I was thinking about my audience at the time. Would they pay 20, 25 bucks for 12 ounces for this coffee? I didn't give a fuck. I really didn't care. I was like, I need this coffee. I will figure that out later. I'll figure out the market. We will go from there. So that's what I did. I got a bag of that. And then I bought another bag of coffee. Was it 2018? Yeah, it was 2018. It was 2018. Because COVID was 2020. And you'll see what I mean by that. So it was over 6 years ago. And I got this coffee. I ordered another coffee. I think it was like a Sumatran or something. That one's tasted fine. Never really tasted it. I went off the cupping notes and all that stuff. Sometimes you can do that, but a lot of times it's not good to do that. But whatever. That's a story for another day. So I got this coffee. It costed me about $500-$600 when it was all said and done. I was shitting bricks. I was literally shitting bricks. I was wondering how the hell I was going to sell this to my current market, to a new market, and all that stuff. And the first thing I did, because of course, even at that time, did I have it? Yeah, I think I did have it. It was towards the end of 2018. It was something like that. It was not towards the end, but it happened within that time. I had my roaster at the time, and I think that's also when I had my smaller roaster, so I could start roasting coffee on my sample roaster. So I did that. I started that. I started to think about ways to make this coffee as impactful as when I first initially had the coffee. And I roasted it. I think it was a medium or a light. Can't remember. It's probably more so like a light roast because at the time I was really big into light roast. And I was like, what the hell's going on here? This is weird. Wasn't really working. It wasn't gelling. Cupped it, or I didn't cup it. I just drank it and was wondering the whole thing about what did this coffee tell me? What was I supposed to do with this coffee? You know, I think that's the reason why I'm wearing this actual shirt right here, because it's more interesting than my black shirts. And I'm trying to tell a story about the most interesting coffee that I've ever had, at least right now. So it didn't really taste that well. So I went ahead and roasted it again, medium roast. And it started to kind of get me going. Of course, initially when you taste it, especially with a natural, it hits you in your mouth and then it dies down. So it's kind of like a one-hit wonder. You did taste different things of it. I tried it as a dark roast, even better, surprisingly. So I went down this rabbit hole of tasting and analyzing, giving it out to different people, seeing what they like about it, see what they didn't like about it. I had a couple people who love African coffees, so I gave it out to them. I mean, I didn't just give it out to them. Sometimes I did sample them out, but then eventually they started to buy the coffee. So I could never really figure out that coffee. It was interesting. It was weird. It was something that just pissed me off when I was making it or trying to understand the coffee even more so. But I kept roasting it because I had 100+ pounds of coffee. If it was a smaller bag, I probably wouldn't be telling this story, but something about it being a full-size Kenyan coffee bag and me spending all the time to roast it, to drink it, to enjoy it, and get pissed off at it. That was one of the things that it wasn't really possible if I had a shorter time with this coffee. So I don't know really what I'm going at or trying to get at with this coffee, but it was so interesting. It talked to me. It challenged me to really push myself as a roaster, meaning that I am not doing something correct here. So I need to work on my profiles. I probably need to hit the temperatures a little bit hotter with this coffee, or probably take my time, make it a little bit slower. Things like that. Things that I really wasn't doing as much compared to other coffees than this one, because the other coffees were a lot easier to roast. I didn't have to like manipulate the whole profiles in order to get the best out of the coffees. Sure, you can go ahead and get the best out the coffees by changing more parameters and all that. But I guess what I'm saying is that this coffee was finicky. It always smelled great, tasted crazy a lot of times. Light roast was just, I would love to roast that coffee again. I would, especially with the amount of information that I have right now, with me developing and brewing even better coffee than what I was doing before. The amount of experience that I have right now, I think I can really truly bring the best out of that coffee. For me, the best out of that coffee was a darker roast. I think that's how I actually come to the appreciation of darker roasts, especially in African coffees. One of the coffees that I do have is called Contagious, and it's mainly based off like African or really exotic type of coffees that kind of give you this presence, this aura of like, wow, this is what dark roast can really truly taste like. Like you can still get the fruitiness out of those cups, but it was kind of crazy how that worked out. So there's a lot of things that I did learn about coffee and me just enjoying it, not enjoying it, trying different things. And that's one of the things that I really wanted to just come on here. And I think the reason why that coffee was so interesting to me is because it was different. It was far out there. It gave me a sense of like, this is what coffee can be, even though it wasn't so much my cup of coffee. You know, you understand what I'm saying? So it was a time to where I can explore. I didn't have that many clients at the time. So a lot of times I was either giving it out to people, getting their opinions, trying different things, different roast profiles, probably even different brewing techniques. It really tasted really good too, also as an espresso. It gave me that chance or the abilities to really see things for what they really truly really were. And I think even to an extent right now, I'm still trying to chase that type of feeling of tasting interesting coffees and seeing what they would do to my taste buds, seeing what they would do to other people. Those are some of the things that I'm thinking about. And just thinking about like how this particular Kenyan natural processed coffee did it for me years ago. I'm still chasing that. And the beauty of all of this, like I said, is that I learned a lot about myself, about pushing myself, about really challenging me to the point to where I know that this type of profession, this science, this whole thing that we're talking about coffee is who I really am and what I truly, really care about. And I hope that you get something from it too. It's like, what kind of things have you gone through to where it's pushed you in a way to where you are excited about either coffee or anything else in your life? This coffee really did change my whole perspective of what coffee can be. And like I said, that whole contagious or that whole idea or logic of like a specialty coffee being quite amazing and tasty, more approachable as a dark roast. Those are some of the things that I learned from the whole experience. And those are some of the things that I still do and take with me as I go down deeper into this rabbit hole. And now that I have this podcast, now that I have this YouTube channel, I love the fact that I'm able to present myself in a way to where hopefully it is helpful to you. Probably it'll give you more of a sense of like pushing yourself in whatever you're trying to do in your life. Those are some of the things that I think about constantly all the time. And I think this story, this idea or logic that I just gave, it's not an idea or logic. It's a story. It really did happen. Helps you propel you forward. And you probably are going through things right now as you're talking or thinking about coffee or life or whatever. But like I said, coffee is one of those weird things that you think it's about the coffee, but it's more than that. It's a place or ability to where we can actually express ourselves in our daily lives. So, cheers to that Kenyan crazy natural processed coffee. I'll be chasing that rainbow and seeing what else is out there. So tell me about the most interesting coffee that you've had. Notice I didn't say the best coffee I've had. I said the most interesting. There's a difference. So let's talk about it. Talk to you later. Bye.